The NCAA tournament is the brightest stage for the youngest stars in basketball. Some of the greatest of all time defined by carrying their teams to a national title. There was Kareem in the 60s, then known as Lou Alcindor, and Bill Walton in the 70s for UCLA. Of course, you had Magic and the Spartans, Danny Manning and the Jayhawks, Glenn Rice and the Wolverines. In the 90s, it was Ed O'Bannon with UCLA. 2000s, Melo with Syracuse, and Kemba Walker with UConn. So who in this year's tournament is capable of making a similar run? Could it be Jalen Suggs for the Gonzaga Bulldogs? Suggs is almost certainly headed for the NBA draft, and he's going to be looking to put on a show for Gonzaga, looking for their first national title. Might it be the likely #1 overall pick in the upcoming NBA draft, Cade Cunningham for Oklahoma State? Cunningham can flat out fill it up while doing so efficiently, making the Cowboys a very tough out. What about Jared Butler and Baylor? The junior guard is the heart and soul for the high-powered Bears. Could it be likely National Player of the Year Luka Garza with Iowa? The big man has a full trophy chest and came back for his senior season to win it all for the Hawkeyes. Or could it be the electric point guard for Illinois, Ayo Dosunmu? Certainly playing his best basketball at the perfect time. Any of these players capable of leading their teams to a championship. But might it be someone unexpected? That's what March is all about, and the madness is about to begin.
All right, perfect time to welcome in our award-winning national columnist, Gary Parrish. So we got 68 teams filled with a lot of players that a lot of fans haven't really had an opportunity to watch this season. So many would say that the best player in this tournament is Cade Cunningham with Oklahoma State. But you have a different take. So who do you think is the top player to watch out for?
Well, I think Cade Cunningham is the best NBA prospect in this tournament. I believe he will be the #1 overall pick in the 2021 NBA draft, but this is college basketball, not the NBA. And in college basketball, the best player is probably Luka Garza. He was the preseason favorite to be the national player of the year, and he's done nothing to move off of that. This is a guy who's averaging 24 points, 9 rebounds per game. He's shooting 41% from three, which is one of the reasons people now think he can actually play in the NBA, because he can make that shot from the perimeter. He's it's already been announced that his number 55 at Iowa is going to be retired, which is phenomenal, given that he's still playing at Iowa. He's the all-time leading scorer at his school. His team is a #2 seed. He has been terrific from start to finish, lived up to every expectation. He's going to be a consensus first-team All-American for the second straight year, and I do believe that he is also going to be the National Player of the Year. Luka Garza is not the best NBA prospect playing in this tournament. He is the best college player, though.
He's a beast out there. Garza and the Hawkeyes taking on Grand Canyon in the first round on Saturday at 6:25 p.m. All right, let's take a look at the other 3 regions. We're going to start with the Midwest. A lot of talent out there, especially with top programs like Houston, West Virginia. We mentioned Cade Cunningham with Oklahoma State, but Illinois coming in the #1 seed, and you like a player with the Fighting Illini. Tell us about him.
Yeah, if there was any player who was going to challenge Luka for National Player of the Year or even Big Ten Player of the Year, it was probably Ayo Dosunmu at Illinois. He has been fabulous. This is another player who withdrew from the NBA draft, in the 48 hours just before the deadline to do so. He's averaging 21.6 rebounds, 5 assists per game. NBA people wanted to see, because they knew he could play make around the rim. What they wanted to see is, okay, can you make a perimeter shot? Because obviously that is immensely important in modern basketball. He's now shooting 39% from three. That's a great sign. That's why he's going to be a first-round draft pick. He's the best closer in college basketball. He has more than once, taken over in the final 4 or 5 minutes and led Illinois to a win. Illinois is 14-1 in his past 15 games. A lot of that has to do with him. Ayo Dosunmu is an undeniable first-team All-American and real, challenger to Luka Garza for National Player of the Year. I want to be clear. Luka will be the National Player of the Year, barring a surprise. But Ayo Dosunmu, somebody in his same league, might be the runner-up.
Illinois coming in hot. So we're going to move over to the South. we're going to talk about Baylor. They're holding down the top seed, followed by Ohio State and Arkansas. Who would you say is the best player in the South region? Are you keeping it with the #1 seed in Baylor?
Yeah, I am. Jenny, a lot of this All-American National Player of the Year stuff, it comes down to not just are you great statistically, because as a coach, and I'll never forget this, told me a long time ago, everybody has a player who averages, 13, 14, 15 points per game. Somebody's got to score for every team. But do you do it for a great team? And Jared Butler undeniably does. He's averaging 17 points, 5 assists, shooting 43% from three. He's going to be an All-American for the second straight season, and it's really remarkable considering he was just a borderline top 100 prospect coming out of high school. This is not a McDonald's All-American. This is not somebody who was supposed to be terrific in the Big 12, but he has been terrific in the Big 12. And if Baylor is able to reach the Final Four for the first time since 1950, when Bill Henderson took them there, Jared Butler will undeniably be the biggest part of that.
Butler was initially enrolled in Alabama, so the Bears definitely lucked out there getting him. All right, last but not least, the East. It's exciting teams from all over the country. We got Big Ten, SEC, Pac-12, but you like a player from the Big East and UConn, my home state. I love it. Are we going to see the next superstar Husky guard out there?
Isn't it funny? Like, this is the one school that has actually had a guard that has just rolled them through the bracket multiple times. We've seen Kemba Walker do it at UConn. We've seen Shabazz Napier do it at UConn. And I'm not necessarily predicting it, but I'm certainly not ruling it out that James Bouknight could do something similar. 19.6 rebounds per game. He's not a great shooter, but he is a great player. A likely lottery pick in the 2021 NBA draft. He missed some games this year. UConn played 8 games without him. They were 4-4 in his absence, but they're 11-3 with him in the lineup. I actually think UConn is underseeded in this tournament. And again, I'm not picking them to go to the Final Four, but it will not surprise me if they go to the Final Four. And if they do, James Bouknight will be the biggest reason. I've spent a lot of time talking about, Luka Garza is not a terrific NBA prospect, although he's an outstanding college basketball player. Same thing for Jared Butler. I think James Bouknight checks both boxes. He's a terrific college basketball player, but also an undeniable NBA prospect. This is somebody who will probably be picked in the lottery. You're going to be watching him play basketball for a long, long time.
Love it. And got to give a big shout out to our guy, Rip Hamilton, out there as well. UConn's taking on Maryland in the first round on Saturday night, so be able to look out for them. Now, what about a player to keep an eye on? Someone that you might not have heard on the highlight reels?
Well, I hope people have heard his story by now because it's an incredible story and incredibly encouraging. Jason Preston at Ohio. This is an Ohio team that I think's got a real chance to advance in this bracket. And the biggest reason is Jason Preston. He's averaging 17.7 rebounds, 7 assists per game. That's obviously great, but his story is even better than that. This is a young man who lost his mother when he was in high school, and he was just living. Father wasn't in his life. He's living with, one of his mom's friend's sons in Orlando. He graduated high school. He's getting ready to go to college. He was just going to go to UCF as a normal student, the same way I went to school as a normal student. But then one of his other friends said, hey, why don't you come play with us in this AAU tournament for this weekend? And he did that. And the coach of the team said, you know what, you're a pretty good player. Rather than just go to UCF as a non-athlete, maybe enroll in prep school and try to expose yourself a little bit. So he said, sure, I'll do that. He went to prep school, and there's 3 different teams at the prep school, like an A team, a B team, and a C team. He did not play for the A team. He was not one of the great players, but he grew from like 6 foot, 140 pounds to 6'4". He put 4 inches on his body. And he made a highlight tape of himself and then put it on Twitter. And somehow, some way, that ended up, in front of the Ohio coaching staff. And they saw this highlight tape and they offered him a scholarship. And he goes from that, what I just described, to the best player on a team that is in the NCAA tournament. Like he put a lot of points on Illinois earlier this season. He's obviously, one of the great players in this tournament. He's a possible first-round draft pick in the upcoming 2021 NBA draft. So I'm not necessarily predicting that he's going to win a game, much less 2 or 3 in the NCAA tournament. But I am telling you it is possible. And what a tremendous story that'll be. Like what I just told you, if he and his team advance in this bracket, it's going to get told 50,000 times as it should be, because it's not only a terrific story connected to him, but it's one that I think can offer encouragement to other players around the country.
It's quite the story of perseverance, and certainly an easy player to root for, so we'll be looking out for him. Now, we definitely got some players under our belt. Now let's talk some coaches. Some blue blood coaches are out, but a ton of talent and big names still in. At this point, who would you say is the best coach in the tournament?
I'm going to go with Chris Beard. You know, it's been too long since we had an NCAA tournament, but the last time we did, you know, he was coaching in the championship game. This is a guy who had bounced around his career, you know, from minor league basketball, if you will, to, you know, he got his Division I start at Little Rock, and he won incredibly at Little Rock, and then got the UNLV job, took it for, I don't know, less than a week, and then ended up at Texas Tech, where he has Texas roots, and has obviously been terrific there. You know, I talk to a lot of NBA people when it comes to putting together a mock draft or anything else, and I'm often interested in picking their brains. Like, hey, when you bounce around the country, who impresses you? Not at the bar, not at dinner, but who impresses you in the gym? When you go to watch a practice, watch a workout, who is really doing things that makes you think this guy could work in the NBA? And over the past few years, the answer, I'm being sincere here, the answer that I've gotten most often is Chris Beard. I think the NBA is possibly in his future. We just watched the Indiana job open up. That is something that are probably going to be connected to him. He is just one of the great tacticians in all of college basketball. And if you're looking for somebody who, you know, can take a team that maybe hasn't looked great all year, although they have been really good all year, if you're looking for a team that can march through this bracket despite whatever limitations you might imagine exist, Texas Tech is a good place to start. And the reason is because Chris Beard is, again, one of the very best college basketball coaches in this entire country.
And the Red Raiders facing Utah State on Friday afternoon. Gary, thank you so much. Hold tight, though. We got much more coming from you. And if you need more college hoops action right now, you got to check out the Eye on College Basketball. It's the most entertaining and informative podcast of its time. Insider information. We got stats, analysis, everything you need to get ready for the madness of March.
Want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis. No yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.